Hey everybody, welcome. This is Tim Ria with the CITE Conference and Expo. Really excited to have Scott Kirsner call in from Boston. And you may have read Scott's Innovation Economy column in the Boston Globe. He covers venture, startups. He's also an author. You have books out, and you're going to be a host and moderator at the CITE Conference.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
So we've been working on these new shows, pulling in guests from all over, and lots of big news today. Facebook went public. We're seeing this whole consumerization trends. I'm really curious to kind of see what you think is hot in what new things are bubbling up, on the venture side.
Well, yeah, I mostly cover innovation these days from the startup perspective, and I think what you see is all kinds of stuff happening in the mobile world and the kind of web-based SaaS software world that people kind of glom onto really quickly. It gains momentum, and then suddenly it's a problem for corporate IT staffs and for CIOs to deal with. And just two examples that come to mind. One is a company that I've been following in the Boston area for a while that basically tries to gamify, sort of uses web-based software to gamify the restaurant business. So, all the waiters and waitresses and bartenders that are waiting on staff, which ones are getting the highest customer satisfaction ratings from the wait staff, but also which ones are getting people to spend the most in the restaurant. And their idea is that, not just that you would give people badges or you'd give people scores, but that you would start letting them choose their favorite shifts the higher up the ranks they ascended. So that's kind of a really interesting example of just someone writing some software and kind of introducing it to the restaurant business to kind of bring gaming and new kinds of competition to what had previously been just, this very hourly wage, churn and burn, kind of high turnover business.
Yeah, it's interesting. In the restaurant space, if we look at that, now we're seeing iPads at the counter kind of eliminating the old infrastructure that was kind of stupid and dumb and not wired.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you look at what's happening with food trucks now in cities like Boston and San Francisco and New York, I mean, those people aren't going to buy any kind of IT or cash register infrastructure. They have a mobile phone or they have an iPad and they have a Square reader plugged into the top of it. And so you wonder what all the technology incumbents in those industries are doing. You'd hope they'd be scrambling to figure out, gee, what is our cheap and dirty solution going to be to someone who's selling food out of a food truck or selling merchandise, at a vintage clothing festival. Another example of something that I saw that was interesting that kind of does a real end run around corporate IT is a company here in Boston that's doing mobile collaboration software called Kibits, Kibits, and they're taking the mobile phone and saying, well, hey, if you're in a conference room with a group of people or you're at an expo like CITE with a group of people, you could create these impromptu groups and start communicating and collaborating with your mobile device, and not do something much more high overhead with software that runs on your laptop or that runs from a central server. And so you start to wonder with stuff like that, where it's software that's either free or maybe it costs $10 a user. How does the enterprise deal with that? How are they going to archive that information? How are they going to think about the compliance issues that come with people communicating with one another in their organization and maybe potentially in other organizations when all of the data is just on the mobile device?
Yeah, I was reading yesterday an article about Apple and iPads, and it's bound to a personal account, not the data is actually bound to your personal account, not to a corporate account. So who owns the data and where's the liability?
Yeah, like how would a company even back up the data that was related to that account? It's really an interesting question. And I think, the sort of archiving and record keeping is racing to keep up with all these devices where we're suddenly creating new data. I mean, on your tablet, on your mobile phone, and I think laptops, people have had a while to start thinking about how do you back up and archive there.
What are you seeing the VCs funding in this space? Who's getting checks written?
The VCs are funding a lot of just lightweight web stuff and mobile stuff, where they can give someone $1 million and see if the application takes off or not. There is a lot of excitement around gamification. I don't like the term, but this idea that people are going to be motivated to, hit their sales quota or go to the gym more often because they show up on a leaderboard with other people, and there's that natural human desire to, to try to be number one or rise through the ranks.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other companies that I've been, that fall into this consumerization of IT stuff that I've been writing about lately. So a lot of what I've been focusing on is sort of lately is kind of the consumerization of healthcare, which is a different angle of this, which is for so long the healthcare system has, both held on to all of our data and all of our medical records, and then tried to have this very top-down approach to like, hey, you should be healthier, you should do a better job of managing your weight or managing your blood sugar. And now you're seeing all these apps and even devices that plug into the iPhone that are all about consumers really driving, hey, I want to take control of being a healthier person, or I want to take control of my own health data. And I want that, the record of how many calories I've eaten today, or the record of how many miles I've run today, to live on my phone and probably to live on some website where I can share it with other people.
Yeah, it's really interesting, all the sensors that are coming out with Bluetooth 4.0 and actually building into like chipsets into your shoes with Nike coming out, across the board. Well, let's hear about your, you have a book out, and then we'll go to, plug, how do people tap in and read what you're up to these days?
Well, I do a blog on Boston.com that's just boston.com/innovation. And my most recent book is called Fans, Friends, and Followers. And it really focused on social media for creative people, so that, if you're an artist, a musician, a filmmaker, or a writer, what are some of the ways that you can kind of build a reputation and build a following also, using social media tools. And, other than that, I do writing for various magazines, including many of the fine IDG publications too.
Great. Well, hey, Scott, wanted to thank you for your time. Look forward to meeting you on March 4th and 6th in San Francisco.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tim. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, cheers. Thanks again.
Thanks.